12 seconds.
15.
Okay.
20.
Sold. Made a liar out of me.
The heart of every man craves a great adventure, but life doesn't usually feel that way. Jesus speaks of narrow gates and wide roads, but the masculine journey is filled with many twists and turns. So how do we keep from losing heart while trying to find the good way when life feels more like a losing battle than something worth dying for? Grab your gear and come on a quest with your band of brothers who will serve as the guides in what we call the masculine journey. The masculine journey starts here now. Welcome to Masculine Journey. We're glad to have you with us this week, and we have a rare treat.
We do.
Yeah, we do. We have Harold's topic and the clip, the first clip. I mean, I don't think we've ever had both of those. Maybe one other time.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
yeah,
Harold's stepping it up.
he is. He's making us look bad, man. He's doing a great job with it.
It's an old dog learning a new trick.
There you go. Well, you learned it well. You have a great topic this week, and I'm excited for us to talk about it and delve into it because knowing you guys and knowing some of your story, I know you've all struggled with it. I know I really still struggle with it from time to time, and I'm sure most of the listeners out there struggle with it.
Struggle with what?
I don't
Sam?
know. Harold's going to tell us. I was just trying to build up the anticipation, which wasn't working very well, but
It was.
it was. Okay, so Harold, what are we waiting for you to tell us about?
The illusion of control.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Control.
Control.
And took the liberty of going out on the Google thing and I got a thing that was generated by AI that says the illusion of control is a psychological phenomenon where individuals believe they have more influence over outcomes than they actually do, even in situations that are entirely random or uncontrollable. This bias can lead to various behaviors, including superstition, gambling, and overestimation of success in investments. Now, also, there are biblical references to it. Proverbs 16:9 says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And Proverbs 19:21, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Jeremiah 10:23, I know, O Lord, that man's ways are not of his own choosing, nor is it for a man to determine his course in life.
All right. I was gonna add, Gospel of John Lennon, 10:20.
You missed Robbie stealing Harold's mic.
Oh, it was on the video. You have to watch the video.
Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Like you had other things you were going to say, Harold, but obviously
You weren't in control,
he
were
was
you?
making plans not long ago about having a beard this
Yeah,
morning,
yeah.
this afternoon. But Jan had plans of giving him a haircut, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, out of control.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just a slick-faced old man now.
yeah.
Robbie, you're fortunate that I didn't bite your hand when you stuck it over here in my face.
Next time.
Yeah, that's a warning shot right
Well,
there.
one of the things that this particular topic really resonated with me is because I grew up in a situation with my father having a drinking problem, and fortunately he was not abusive to us, but I suffered a lot of shame and experienced a lot of things you'd read about as an adult child of an alcoholic family. And I thought I was in control. My ambition for years was my plan was to be a fighter pilot in the Navy. And as it turned out, I did pass the written exam for Aviation Officer Candidate School while I was a student at Auburn. But it turned out that my wife's brother ate at the boarding house where I was working, and he tricked me into a blind date with his sister. 6 weeks later, I'm asking that girl to be my wife. June the 6th, we will celebrate 61 years of being married.
Very nice.
So.
I always thought it was you weren't as tall as Uncle Sam's arm, so you couldn't go into the Navy.
They like shorter people here flying.
Yeah,
But you were married on D-Day. What's
Yes.
that like?
Storming the beaches, buddy. That's always
Easy to remember. But yeah, I was not nearly as much in control as I thought I was. It got reinforced because my career after school was as a computer programmer and systems analyst. And that computer did exactly what I told it to. So I felt like I was in complete control. And that reinforced my desire to make the highway be under my control. So there were a lot of areas of my life that I had the illusion of control, when in fact, I had no control whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. If we sound a little bit more jovial than normal, it's for two reasons, really. We got our friend Danny, who couldn't be with us tonight, on the phone. And so that's nice to have you. So welcome, Danny. We're glad to have you with us.
It's good to be with you guys.
And then the other reason is Andy isn't here. And so,
Yeah!
we're all together. So that was just for you, Andy, when you do listen to this, when it comes back.
He's with his other friend.
That's right. He had a
Well,
prior commit with his other friend.
You're saying other? I think it's just his friends. Yeah, we're not his friends.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Danny. We're sad that you can't be with us, but glad that we got you on the phone, so it's glad to have you with us here.
Yeah, it's good to be able to do this. Modern technology is amazing.
Yeah, the telephone's only what, like 100 and some years old, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like brand new.
I'm watching you. I'm watching you live too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not always such a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, well,
I
Harold.
had to put on my 3D glasses. So,
Yeah, 2D's bad enough, trust me. Harold, you have the first clip. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, it's about Yogi Bear,
Okay.
and he thinks he's in control because he made a promise to Mr. Ranger about the sweets and the treats. But he sees people having a picnic and he loses control.
Yeah, and he talked to Boo Boo into handcuffing him to a tree, right?
Yeah, he's going to go down and get some, and Boo Boo tries to stop him. And so Yogi says, handcuff me to the tree and don't turn me loose regardless of what I say. Immediately he says, okay, bad decision, turn me loose. And it goes on from there. He pulls the tree down, and it's a small tree.
Andy is here. He just told the whole clip.
Oh, no, I wanted to do that.
Well, you gotta tell
It did sound like Andy.
tell
Yeah,
the
that's
part of the
understand
tree,
it.
because you don't know the tree's gonna come
Yeah,
back.
you don't know
Right.
the trail's gonna get. Here we go. We're just gonna play it now.
I can't take it, Boo Boo. 2 days without a tasty treat to eat, and I have to sit up here while they're having a happy birthday Jellystone party. And they have donuts. Donuts!
Yogi, what are you doing? Yogi,
I'm going.
hey! Wait, don't do it, Yogi. You promised Mr. Ranger.
You're right. I'm losing control, Boo Boo. I don't know who's steering the ship. Here. I want you to handcuff me to this tree and not unlock it no matter what I say.
Okay, Yogi.
Okay, unlock me.
Huh?
It was a bad idea. Unlock me. Unlock me!
Okay, here you go.
Well, so Harold, you had a point you want to make with that clip. That's a great clip.
Yeah, the point is that we think we're in control. I don't have to have sweets. And then I'm sitting there watching the boob tube, and the refrigerator freezer calls and says, Harold, ice cream is here.
Mm-hmm.
Harold, you want to come get some of me? And I get up and go get the ice cream after having told myself, no, not tonight. It's hard to maintain control.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think through all that, and you're like, when's he talking to Jan saying, go get him some more ice cream? You know, it's like, because you got to have it in the freezer there. You know, I want to make sure I have it so that when it calls, I go running to it. And food's always there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when you played that clip, I liked when you said, you know, I'm out of control. I don't know who's driving the ship. You know, and I think what's important about that is when we think we're in control, we think we know who's driving the ship, but we're really not.
Right.
You know, it's typically the enemy that's pushing us in the direction to grasp for that control.
Go get some more.
Yeah, to struggle for it.
Yeah, I can't help but picture that, you know, really when you think about it, Harold's kind of boo-boo, you know, and Jim is, when it comes to food, hey, boo-boo. Give me some more of that
I
mayonnaise.
think I do have
I
the
see a
same
picnic basket.
refrigerator he has, cause when there's ice cream there, it's hollering at me.
Oh yeah, same
But
thing.
I would have to say that the Herald is certainly smarter than the average bear.
And I have to admit that Yogi was just as good as the guy in the clip. That is the worst Yogi I ever heard. Not yours, Robbie. His. Yours is at least second. Oh, so we have a few minutes before we go to break. Art, would you like to share anything with us on this topic of control?
Oh, well, I did. A little joke that I put on my Facebook one time came to mind. It says it's a graph, and it says what gives people feelings of power. Now, power and control are related. They aren't exactly the same thing. I'll read what I found about that. Let's see. Power is the capacity to influence, and control is the application of that power. So, you know, Jim might have to put that in words I can understand, but they're almost the same thing. One's the, yeah, okay, but
Easy for Jim.
okay, but anyway, in this bar graph, the first item is money, and it is the little small rectangle there. It's fairly small, and it says status, and it goes almost twice as much as money. And the third one is calling your cows, and they actually come, and it's about 4 times as big as money. So that is real power and control. That's the little farm joke. It's a farm joke, you know.
That's killed him in Des Moines.
And then below the chart, I have a picture of my cows. They're all standing at the gate, like maybe I called them up there. I think they're just hungry or something. But I was pretending like I'd called my cows, and they came, and I have a lot of power there.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that gives you plenty to think about as we go into break. Is what's it like when you call your cows? Yeah. No, thank you, Art. We appreciate that. Go to masculinejourney.org to register for the upcoming boot camp. If you're in the Greenville, Spartanburg area, it's right down by you guys. It's right down the road. Come see us. Come join us. November 20th through 23rd. If coming there is going to be a financial strain for you, reach out to us. We'll help you get there. Talk to you after the break.
Why not give a gift to graduates of lasting value? This is True
I'm sorry, I thought when you said chime in on me, I thought you wanted to. Was it John? John Lennon? I feel bad.
No, it was
my
perfect.
hand.
College or advanced degree.
All right.
I will pray for you that you'll draw closer to God.
You got me.
Faith in
I am sorry. I was like,
where you're going in the career field. The second thing is give them a
all the things I said to him, he's not mad at me.
Don't waste
No,
your
he
life
smiled
like
when you
that.
said that. He was not, this was not the smiling face of Harold I saw there. It was like, I'm going to bite your hand, and I've got like
their
your
paths. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 is
Well,
Let's
you
give
smashed
gifts
his
and
illusion
prayers,
of
pointing them to
control.
heaven, which is the ultimate
He thought he had
graduation.
control of his
Congratulations
life.
to all the graduates.
Join Stu on radio, social media, and his daily Truth Talk Live podcast. Learn more at truthnetwork.com.
Yes, that was only 30 seconds, believe it or not. It
That
seems
was
like
the
a long
longest
time.
short clip we've ever had.
Yeah, the thing was, I really didn't want to play that, but Jim really forced me. He's
Yeah,
bigger than
he
me
loves it.
physically,
Yeah.
and he said we got to have some Janet Jackson, in this thing. And so we just went with it, because Jim's the biggest around.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's my fault.
I did learn that Janet is the younger sister,
Is it?
so
Yeah.
there was a positive outcome.
And
Yeah.
when did you learn that?
Sitting at the table right before.
Yeah,
Exactly.
literally about
Yeah.
30 minutes ago.
Right.
Yeah, the reason I don't really care for the song, but the song really is all about this desire to, regardless of what's going to happen, I'm going to be in control. Right? Regardless of what life throws at me, regardless of what other people throw at me, I am going to be in control of my life. And she just sings that throughout the song in different verses, but the chorus is always this control said several times, right? And so you think of that and you go, that's really kind of a silly song, which it kind of is, but that was from the 80s and it was probably pretty popular back then. I don't really remember it, but what it does remind me of is how much we fight to be in control. Right? We can say that sounds very silly, but what do we do in practice? And I can't speak for anyone else but me. There are still too many times my first response is to try to control whatever that situation is, whether it's finances, whether it's another person, whether it's whatever that is. It's I fight this desire to have some type of control, because I think part of that is being a man, you feel like you got to fix things, right? And if I can fix it, then I'm really in control, right? It gives me affirmation. But in reality, as Harold pointed out really well before the break, we're never really in control anyway. It's just an illusion, and that's what we're talking about today.
I've been finding that I've been going to that, let me fix this with my wife, who's struggling with having had shoulder surgery and struggling with getting older. And not having any control, I've recognized for decades. I mean, and one of the most peaceful things that ever happened was when I surrendered control to God. But I keep trying to wrestle it back when there's something that, I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't need you. And there are none of those.
Yeah, and we went through some of the things that are falsely thought of, God. God helps those who help themselves. That was one of them.
Not in the Bible.
Yeah, it's not in the Bible. It sounds scriptural, but it's not, right? And so it takes us away from God. It takes the focus away from Him into us, but we battle it. At least I do, and I know a lot of you guys do because we talked about it, right? That's something we do. Danny, what do you think about that?
Yeah, the last few topics have been right in my living room and opened up a few closets. And when we did that thing you just mentioned, God won't put more on you than you can handle. I've used for years. We talked about that a few weeks ago, and I thought about that. I thought, what? There is some fallacy there. But this topic, when it was thrown out by Harold or Jim by way of Harold or however it came about, this is my life right now, and it's just an incredible journey, but one that is you think you're in control of your life. 3 months ago I thought I was in full control, and you thought maybe go to the doctor for a little bit of pain, get 10 days of steroids, and we'd be on our way. But here we are starting chemo today actually, and so that made me think a lot about the topic, and what? Because I am absolutely positive in control of nothing. I am not in control of lots of different things, and so it is truly an illusion. But we serve a God who is in full control.
And that's what's great is when you're that attached to the one who gives you all that power, and you're attached to him, and you know where he's coming from, and you know where he's wanting to take you, and you can sit in there with him through something as bad as what you're going through and go, okay, it's okay. That's a lot of faith.
Brought to mind the popular bumper sticker 40-ish years ago. God is my co-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard more than a few old preachers say, you're in the wrong seat. You may not, if you're not paying attention, you may not even be in the same car, but you're definitely not the pilot.
Right. And definitely, God knows how to merge, right, Harold?
Yeah.
Anyway, Davey, you have the next clip. Do you want to go ahead and set it up?
Yeah, I'll say that it's from the movie Man of Steel, and it's a scene where Superman has decided to surrender himself to humanity, and because they don't know whether to surrender or not. And in this clip, to me, he signifies in so many ways Jesus. And we always run the disclaimer. We know it's a movie clip, but in this interchange, he surrenders. They handcuff him, and this is Superman. And they walking down the hallways in an interrogation room, talking to Lois Lane and this thing, and they're having a conversation. Then leads into a conversation with the men behind the glass, and basically, I won't give it all away, but Superman shatters their illusion of control, and it's just beautifully done. We talk about it afterwards.
My name is Dr. Emil Howell. I know. It seems to be along with a half-eaten roll of wintergreen lifestyle. You also see the squad of soldiers in the next room. You won't need it. Sir, you can't expect us to not take precautions. We could be carrying some kind of alien pathogen. 33 years ago. I infected anyone yet.
You know us. We have legitimate security concerns. If you reveal your identity in this landing room, I want you to see us.
Put our cards on the table, Lieutenant.
You're scared of me because you can't control. You don't. You never. That doesn't mean you're not your enemy.
Who is Zod?
That's what I'm worried about.
Be that as it may, I've been given orders to hand you over to him.
Do what you have to do.
Yeah, it's such there's so much in this that is applicable to so many things. In the scene, he stands up when he says, let's put all our cards on the table. He just stands up and snaps those handcuffs. He's Superman like nothing. And he shatters their illusion of control. And to me, that's so much like Jesus. Because sometimes he has to shatter our illusion of control. And, not to just, talk solely about his journey, but, we went from thought I had a hernia around my belly button to, you've got a mass in your appendix. We do a surgery, we take the tumor out. And we thought that would be over with. I could see the end result. And then we're going to have to do another surgery, do a resection. And that didn't go well. They closed me back up into it because of some more cancer cells that I won't go into all those details. And so then they said, we got to get you to chemotherapy. And now we're looking at going to talk to a third surgeon in the last 3 months. So where we thought we were in control, I thought, hey, they'll take my appendix out, they'll get the tumor out, I'll go to boot camp. Boy, that went away quick. And different things have gone away so quick. And, but in all that, I say all that, not for sympathy's sake, but I say all that to say that what has happened is the little God winks and the moments where he just wraps you in his arms is amazing. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. It's okay.
He is absolutely good. He is literally took me into his hands, and I know that. And so, control is an illusion. I don't know what the chemo is going to do. They don't know. And when you realize humanity has very little control over anything, cancer's a formidable foe, but I got thoughts on today that says, my God is greater than my cancer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Danny, I can understand how you'd be emotional with everything that's going on right now. And, you know, the outpouring of love is pretty amazing just to hear you share what people are feeling called to do just on your behalf, to pray over you, to pray with you, to check on you and all the things that they're doing. And it's a direct reflection of how well you've loved them, you know, and you're just seeing it come back at you.
I was sharing that with my mother-in-law. What did or read scripture.
Yep.
It's Romans 8, 24, starts with, since we're in this hope, we were saved. Now, hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what to pray or how we ought to, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for us. And I have seen that manifest over the last few months. I've literally had guys show up at my house. One of them said to anoint me and pray over me. And their prayers were as spot on as anything. And one of the guys didn't even know the story. And, I had shared some of the story. And they call me and pray with me over the phone. You guys pray continually or send me a scripture, and it's spot on. So it's just an amazing thing to see God work.
Yeah, I feel bad. I only send you stupid jokes.
That makes me laugh.
Okay, well, that must not be deep enough to be your friend. I just don't really send you the scripture. I need to look into that. I need to step up my game a little bit, my friend.
That's an agreement. You did that. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's true. I did send you one this morning. But Danny, thank you. We look forward to talking to you in the next show if you can hang out with us for the next one. But go to masculinejourney.org to register for the upcoming boot camp, November 20th through 23rd. masculinejourney.org. Let God work on your heart this weekend. Lean into Him and love on others well. We'll talk with you next week.
No, that definitely wouldn't work.
Yeah, we couldn't. Yeah.
Even if we'd had time, that wouldn't have worked.
Can
Danny,
we
you
bump
still
it up
there?
before it goes on the air?
Okay.
Again, they're hearing what's coming out of. We're not connected anymore to that.
Oh, okay.
So
they're tuning
all
out
they're
again.
hearing is when it comes over that.
Oh,
And since
okay.
Danny's so low on that.
Oh, I could have turned it up. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
That's what I meant by.
Oh, I didn't, because I thought you had me turn it down earlier.
No, I wanted it that up so that
I'm
because
sorry.
otherwise that's all the listeners can hear the clips
I
or hear
apologize.
Danny.
But on the regular feed, it'll come across fine.
Right. They're getting it great on the podcast or on the broadcast.
Okay.
But as far as
My
what's
mom-
going
No,
across,
it's because I had this turned down.
Well, my mom sent a note saying she could barely hear him.
Yeah, that was.
that's right. That's
on
right.
this.
Okay.
Yeah.
She could barely hear him because the only thing we're getting is what's coming out
It's
of
on
that
this
speaker.
volume here.
Sam's the one to blame.
Yeah, well, he pointed over to me. I thought he meant to turn it down, so I turned
Right.
it down, and I took it in the other wrong direction.
There have been many people who wanted to turn my volume down.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I was
Depends
hoping
on
for
the
that.
day. Depends on the day, my friend.
That's why. And then when he started to get
And you
into
thought
it,
you
I
were in
thought, man, that'd be
control.
awesome. But your mom's right. But the thing of it is if we put the direct feed back in like we had it,
right,
then we risk Spotify pulling us all together because they pulled a bunch of shows that violated copyright laws. And so if we play those clips through that, YouTube boots it, a bunch of people boot it, and if you play them interestingly, like the secondary feed coming off the cameras, we don't have the complaints, we don't have the issue.
Yeah, so I just need to know the
So
volume.
far, right. Not that we're actually violating any copyright laws, we're not.
No,
but it doesn't matter whether we're not or not, because it's Spotify or Facebook.
They just use it as something to say to do what they want to do.
Well, their attorneys have told them not to take any risk, and so they're going to be on a zero risk.
Right.
In that scenario, they don't want to be sued.
Don't ever play anything.
Yeah, they don't want to be sued for copyright infringement.
Yeah, I don't see it as religious persecution. Actually, I see it as they've got electronic scanners, and here's how it works. Everything that you put through, it goes through a computer, and it's looking for something that would violate a copy, and they're obviously artificial intelligence, and they're real good. So if something comes across and it plays and there's copyright on it, it'll kick it right out, and you got this problem. But since this isn't at the level of a full broadcast, it doesn't kick out stuff that comes through that speaker.
So yeah, and so I just need to learn to turn that up a little bit more so your mom could hear it. Yeah, so there's times that I get notifications that they've kicked out the Joyride for the week. They don't do it every week, but because we use that intro of a copyrighted song, even though we don't use it long enough for it to be an issue, every once in a while they'll just kick out the Joyride for the week. You know, and I'll just get a notice on my phone that says that this was kicked out. Once in a while they'll kick out one of our shows. You know,
when Robbie talks too much.
Yeah.
I'm copyrighted just anyway.
Danny, on the video feed, apparently I had you turned down too low so people couldn't really hear what you were saying, but on the broadcast it'll go out fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, sorry, it has
All,
to be.
all three people listening right now are like, oh my gosh,
Well,
I can't hear him.
we have faithful listeners.
Yes.
Your mom.
We
David.
actually have 4 right now.
Well, and they can take what you say
I'm
on
watching.
faith.
Yeah.
I'm watching, and funny, when Robbie was explaining it, you were looking at me, Sam, so it looked like you were talking to me.
Oh, okay.
That's funny. He is. Yeah, when you look at that camera, you're like looking
When
at
I'm looking at you, I'm
when
looking
you're
at
looking
the
at
camera.
me,
Yeah.
you're looking at the camera.
Yeah.
That's really sad when you look at
The
Robbie.
camera is prettier.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm staring the listener down. Yeah.
Say,
By
Andy,
the
are you
way,
there?
Yeah, if Andy's watching, I could just.
Speaking of AI, I think that if we had used your RI instead of the AI, it would have been more succinct and more intelligent.
I don't know.
And very unique.
Yes.
No.
Rhode Island.
Exceptionally very unique.
There you go.
That's even more unique than very
Especially with RI. What is RI?
unique. I have no clue.
Real intelligence.
Oh, okay. That's why I didn't get it.
Harold did, and that's who I was talking
Yeah.
to.
Did you get it, Harold?
Well, that's an honest man there, folks. Yeah.
Dang it.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. I saw Robbie do it, so I lowered my chair too.
I'm taking a humble picture because he almost bit my hand off a little while ago.
Yeah. Bring back a nub. Like, hey, I'm sitting next to Harold today.
You gotta be careful who you fight, though. You don't know what kind of disease.
That's true.
Speaking of that, man, when I pulled into our church, not to say that our church is out in the boonies, but when I pulled into our church this Sunday, there literally is a coyote standing in the entrance to the parking lot. And I'm like, and granted, it is out between a strawberry field and a cornfield. Okay, that's where the church
It is in the boonies.
Yeah. And so there's a coyote, like, and so, like, and it just barely moves over when I pull the car into the parking lot, and then it goes down in this culvert, which is like from me to that corner from where I'm in the car. And then it pokes its little head out as I'm getting out of the car looking at me. And I'm like, man, I hope this thing is not rabid and it's fixed to come after me. So I go in the church, which, I'm proud to be there in Randolph County, Andy, and Danny, whoever you are.
Is somebody listening?
Somebody at
whoever is on the phone. And he is in Randolph County. And I said, man, you're not going to believe it. There's a coyote out there. And they're like, there is. Let me get my rifle. The next thing I know, this dude's out there with us. We're about to have a shooting before church.
That is Randolph County.
And all the coyote wanted was a seat on the front row.
He'd fit right in.
Just don't dress up like a road runner, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it was after the Kildees, because Kildees are a lot like road runners. And I saw him unpacking an Acme box, as he was getting down in there.
Yeah.
I don't guess we could use any clips from the road runner.
No, it's just beep, and then,
Yeah, beep,
and then signs holding up. Yeah.
On one of our trips down to Florida to Jan's brother's, driving down the street and here's this big building and it had Acme.
Mm-hmm.
I just about wrecked.
Absolutely. So you have two clips. Which one do you want first? Josie Wales, you want the Pointer Sisters?
Josie Wells.
Okay.
The Pointer Sisters isn't really necessary.
Okay, I agree.
What's the
But I didn't know what your point was.
Well, I already made the point,
Oh,
so
okay,
it's kind
yeah.
of too late.
No, that's fine. I just,
Let it go.
but if it was a good point, I would have
But you
played
haven't
it.
made it in the second show. You need to double up.
Well, all right, so
If you're desperate.
then we have three clips
You
minus
are.
the Pointer Sisters. We have your clip, and my clip. And so since mine's played more frequently and yours is, neither one is played very often, right, or if ever, right? So we'll play you guys' two clips first, and then I'll play mine third if we have time to get to it.
You can play mine last time.
If we have time.
We'll have time. We got a half hour.
Yeah,
Harold,
yeah.
you got to kind
Well-
of reset up the topic when we come back in. Just you don't have to read everything. You can just ad lib it, or you could read it if you want to read it.
I want to hear the RI rather than the AI.
I want to hear the pirate. Arg.
I want to hear
ARG.
Herald Intelligence.
The pirate intelligence.
I guess I could have said HI, and
Yeah.
everybody said hi.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my hands inside the vehicle.
Yeah, at all times.
Remember whose microphone that is.
I am remembering.
Look at it, Harold. Don't let him get by with anything.
So Jim, we'll play your clip first after Harold sets it back up. And that make Rodney very happy because it's Josie Wells.
And that's our whole goal was to make Rodney happy.
Yeah.
Of course. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Not to mention Dean Wormer.
Dean Wormer. I can't go without some Dean Wormer.
30 seconds.
I never knew his first name.
Dean. It's Dean.
Never gonna be the same, guys. You red legs Wormer.
Coming to you from an entrenched barricade deep in the heart of central North Carolina. Masculine Journey After Hours. A time to go deeper and be more transparent on the topic covered on this week's broadcast. So sit back and join us on this adventure. The Masculine Journey After Hours starts here, now.
Welcome to Masculine Journey After Hours. Robbie's making me laugh, so thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that. But welcome to Masculine Journey After Hours. We are talking about a topic that I think pretty much every human I've ever met struggles with it to some degree, either openly or privately. You know, they may say they don't. I don't think they're being truthful. But, you know, at some point, maybe in their lifetime, they don't struggle with it as they've given everything over to God. But Harold, what is the topic? This is your topic this week, so let us know what that is.
The topic is the illusion of control.
Yep.
We think we control what we really don't control. And I'm going to be quick on this introduction. The illusion of control is a psychological phenomenon where individuals believe they have more influence over outcomes than they actually do. And I think that fits probably everyone, as you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if we are honest, we really look in the mirror, we can say, yeah, that's something that resembles me at least some of the time, if not most of the time, depending on your situation. Right, and so on the phone we have Danny. Danny, welcome to the After Hours.
Oh,
Are you awake?
glad to be here.
Okay, so did
Yes,
I
awake.
wake you up? Sorry, man.
Yeah, I took that 10-minute nap.
Okay. Usually people do it during our show, not during the break.
Well, I'm trying to reform. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Well, Jim, you have the first clip of this show that will at least make one person very happy in this this group.
Well, two.
Well,
I'm a real fan too.
Well, that's true.
This is from the outlaw Josie Wales, and for those not familiar with it, why not? But this takes place during the Civil War, and this is at the end when they are surrendering. It was a really nasty, primarily guerrilla warfare between Kansas, which was a Union state, and Missouri, which was a southern state.
But it's the beginning of the movie, though.
Yeah, this is the very beginning of
End
the
of the
movie.
war, beginning of the movie.
Yes, and it'd be a very short movie if it was just about the war. But anyway, there are a number of characters in this. Josie Fletcher, who was the commander of the unit that Josie was part of, and Captain Terrell, who, well, you'll hear Red Legs, which was their nickname, and that was true of most of the folks from Kansas. But so there, you've got enemies talking here, and the governor is, well, you'll know enough about him, but listen to what's happening with different characters here. And there's a kid whose name I don't remember, but Billy, the kid. I got it. It took a while, but no, it may be actually. But let's play it.
Are you coming with us, Josie?
I reckon not, Fletcher.
He'll be coming after you, Josie. There's nowhere you can go to get away from him.
I reckon that's true.
Good luck, Josie.
The rifle down, too.
I'll be needing this for squirrels and such.
Put it down. Kinda young, ain't you, kid? Be riding with this rabble?
Who you calling Rab?
You blue scumbelly.
Here's the man you asked for, sir.
Ah, Fletcher. Good to see you. Well done. Thank you. War's over. Our side won the war. Now we must busy ourselves winning the peace. Fletcher, there's an old saying, to the victors belong the spoils.
That is this man on, Senator.
Easy, Terrell. He brought them all in, didn't he?
All but one. Who's that?
Josie Wales. Captain Terrell, I want you to currycomb the countryside. You beat the brush and root out everything disloyal from a Shanghai rooster to a Durham cow. We've got to clean up this country. You take 5 men and go up there and get Josie Wales. Captain Redlegs, Terrell, and 5 men against Josie Wales.
This is some characters that I know pretty well because I've watched this movie a lot. But Terrell thinks he can get him. He can't. And I called him a governor, but I'm senator. Thinks he's in control and is ordering men about, and nothing he wants to do happens. Fletcher and Josie Wales were good friends, and Fletcher betrayed him, and now he's part of the party that's hunting Josie down. So it's, and war is always that way. You know, what you decide is going to happen rarely does. And conflict of any type is going to usually teach us that our illusion of control is that illusion. And the ultimate outcome for this is nothing like you expect when you get the opening scenes of the movie where Josie Wales is out farming, and that was the life he expected to have. He ends up being an outlaw and killing a lot of folks. It's a good revenge movie if you like those.
Yeah. Any idea what a Shanghai rooster or a Durham cow is? I'm like not a farmer, so those terms stood out to me, and I'm not being silly. I just don't have any clue what they mean. I didn't know if you would.
Not really.
Okay.
Shanghai rooster. That's a Chinese rooster.
I guess. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
know.
it might be.
I don't know.
Yeah, in Durham, I thought it was the Bulls, and it's a baseball team over in Raleigh. I
That's
wasn't.
all. Yeah, those are old
Well,
terms.
yeah.
I don't know.
I knew they meant something, but I'm the least farmer guy probably in here, and so I thought I'd ask the most farmer guy in here. And so if you don't know him, I feel pretty good about not knowing him.
See, it's good that I brought up cows earlier. So now we have a clip with talking about cows.
We came full circle. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was meant to be, Art. It really was meant to be. Danny, you were talking about timing earlier today. There we go again.
There it is, timing is everything.
Well, and some people would think that we do a lot of bull here. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also just in that clip where you've got all that going on, Fletcher, he actually was Josie's friend. He was a friend of all the guys who ended up getting shot, which you did not have in the clip because you talked about it and then you jumped past it. But each one of those guys came in and said, okay, I'll give myself up. And then they just shot him. Yeah. And then Josie was against them because he got one guy out of there that died, a few days later. But all that goes on and happens, and it's just kind of real time, real life. And it's just, you when you put all that together, it's just, it's hard to just think about, wow, what if this, and then the next thing, the next thing.
Well, he betrayed him, but for what? To become dean of Faber College? I mean, that's
right.
Really.
And Fletcher did talk to the senator about it afterwards in a not terribly friendly tone. You said we would be decently treated. And yes, we already did that joke.
Sorry. No, we didn't do it. He later went on to become Dean Wormer.
Yeah, he did.
And it's very important.
I could have sworn I just heard Sam.
It was close. I said the Faber College. It was not his name. So
okay.
We were on the same one.
But in the meantime, just so you'll know, a Shanghai rooster, right? This name was commonly used in the United States during the 1800s to refer to a large, heavily feathered fowl.
Wow.
Okay.
And so.
And you haven't looked up the Durham Bull, which is we're the Durham Bulls.
Well, I would think that.
Well, Durham cows, what they said.
What he said, and that's something that would live in the South, right? And he's trying to find the betrayers, and you can imagine these Durham cows, they were moving in the wrong direction.
We knew where you were going with that, Robbie. We've been around you enough. Yeah.
And the other were like, anyway.
That was bad, Robbie. Yeah, we'll go with that one too.
I'm not gonna horn in on this conversation.
Just ram it on in. Let's go. Here we go.
I had a thought, but it went away.
We tend to do that to people.
You lost control, Jim.
Yeah, you did.
I never had
You're dead, Jim.
Never had
it. Yeah. Anyway, Robbie, you actually have the next clip.
All right, well.
And he has to turn the camera on.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward to get myself on camera, The cameraman has to put it, it's weird. But anyway,
Harold, just to
Harold. Yeah, Harold, you want to go from those who didn't understand that, listen to the first show, and you'll see I almost came back with a nub. But anyway, speaking of losing control, those who watched Jaws, I hope you did, but it's a pretty famous movie. If you didn't, the captain of the boat that goes after Jaws, it loves to call people chief, here is explaining why he has the hatred for sharks that he does, since he was on a Navy heavy cruiser, as Jim described to me, that you would have thought he was carrying, days before, they were carrying the bomb that would be dropped on Hiroshima and that would kill, obviously, millions of people, and you would think that they thought that they were in control. And they certainly were well armed, except for there was a Japanese torpedo boat or submarine that caused this to happen. And pretty soon they went from being, thinking they were pretty bad to like being in the water with just a big fish with very large teeth. And what happens is an idea of what's happened to many of us when we lose control. And then at the end of this clip, I wish you could see it as well as you could hear it. And the point is that the chief of police there in Amityville he's feeding chum to the water, thinking that he's going to bring a shark on, and all of a sudden Jaws shows up And you can hear what he tells the captain shortly thereafter.
And it is historically accurate, that description.
Here we go.
Japanese submarine slammed 2 torpedoes into her side, Chief. He was coming back from the island of Tinian to Leyte, just delivered the bomb, the Hiroshima bomb. 1,100 men went into the water. Vessel went down in 12 minutes. Didn't see the first shark for about half an hour. Tiger, 13-footer. You know that when you're in the water, Chief? You tell by looking from the dorsal to the tail. What we didn't know was our bomb mission had been so secret. No distress signal had been sent. Very first light, Chief. Sharks come cruising. So we formed ourselves into tight groups. You know, it's kind of like old squares in a battle, like you see in a calendar, like the Battle of Waterloo. And the idea was, shark comes to the nearest man, that man he starts pounding and hollering and screaming. Sometimes the shark would go away. Sometimes he wouldn't go away. Sometimes that shark, he looks right into you, right into your eyes. You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then, despite all the pounding and the hollering, they all come in and they rip you to pieces.
I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, when you listen to that description of when all of a sudden you get a look at death.
Yeah.
And I was going to use a different example, but God just put it on my heart to tell you this one. So, at one point in my life, I got something called a brain abscess that came from a staph infection that was inserted in my brain through a surgery that I had. And that staph infection went out of control. And, a few weeks before that, I was the Chrysler dealer in Moxville. I thought life was going well. I had 3 kids. Things were pretty amazing. And they couldn't get it to stop, and they couldn't get it to stop. And they did 2 surgeries, not unlike Danny's description. And one day, I knew I was getting sicker and sicker, and I was losing consciousness more and more. And the nurse came in, and she was like, Mr. Dillmore, this is the last thing we know to try. And you probably need to make whatever arrangements, because it won't be long. And I say that just to say this. What he described when death looks you in the eye, and I don't know if through your life a lot of people have experienced whatever that looked like in their life when death looked them in the eye. And when it looks at you like that, it does not have any sense of heart to it. It's cold. However.
Yeah, sure is.
However, but God, right? And at that moment in time, hopefully, God allows you the humility to feel that stream of living water that He's been building in your life since you came to Christ. And that living water looks so different than that black look of death. And from my standpoint, I kept a special Bible at that time in the hospital, and for whatever reason, God gave me the insight to make all the entries into that Bible, because, unlike a lot of people who take notes in his Bible, that particular Bible, I made all my entries in red pen as I went through that particular journey in my life. And those entries in that Bible are of unbelievable value to me. Like, any time that I need a testimony to say, look, God is not, what you're going through, look what you went through. And He was right there. And he wasn't just there from a standpoint of, well, I'm going to keep you alive, because obviously he was going to heal me. I'd been in heaven, right? He was going to give me more and more and more life, less of that black look of death that you get as you walk with him through life. And sometimes those brushes with those black eyes help us to value his word and in certain parts of the things that he's done in your testimony. It's just beyond value, right, Danny?
You're absolutely right. When death looks you in the face, and we had a oncologist a month or so ago look me in the eye and say, "This is incurable and inoperable." And we asked tough questions, and she said, best case scenario or average was about a year or two left. And we came home just devastated that time could be short. But like you said, Robbie, but God. And I believe God is doing something miraculous. If nothing else, He's made me see how valuable time is. Every moment with my wife, every moment with my children, every podcast I get to do like this, everything is it's living water is what it is. And I enjoy going up toward the mountains in those trout streams up there. And we went up to an area that had been ravaged somewhat by the hurricane. But one thing I noticed was you didn't stop the living water running down the mountain. All the devastation, but the water still ran.
Oh, it's well. It's beautiful. Thank you, Dan.
Wow, that was powerful. Now I can't really even play my clip. So I'll just ask Rodney. Rodney, anything you'd like to add to this topic?
You just go through, you've got Robbie's wonderful description of something from a movie into his real life. Danny kicks in his. I can kick in some stuff. Everybody can kick in with, this is what's got me now.
Mm-hmm.
It's got you down, it's got you up, it's got you sideways. Something is always in control of us. And as long as we understand that it's God that's got control, ultimate control, He's in charge of everything. Nothing's going to happen without Him just going, yeah, I'm going to either let it happen or He's going to make it happen. I mean, like for me getting saved, I didn't do that. I didn't save myself. I didn't figure something out and realize, oh, God's there. No, He told me, come to me. It was a great time in my life that I was like, oh my gosh, you are real, you are true. And I didn't know. I was just listening to things. The things I was listening to, there were Dr. J. Vernon McGee, and I was just listening to stuff, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And then later on, I'm just listening, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, you are real. And it just dawned on me. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm saved. And it was just one of those things that just comes out. It's just so much more meaningful than just, well, oh yeah, I'm saved. You just go on. No, it's vitally important for eternity that we're saved. And it's nothing that's small. It's something that's very, very important for us all to really think through and put our hopes and dreams into, because there's nothing else going to do but God. He does it all, and you do nothing. You just accept and take and go and say, thank you.
Yeah.
That's about all you can do.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and switch gears a little bit, thank you, and play a clip. Because what if your intentions are good? You really have a good intention for why you feel like you need to control this, because it's for everybody's best interest. And so I can't think of anyone that makes that point as much as Clark Griswold in Christmas Vacation, when he just wants his family to have the picture perfect Christmas, and they just won't cooperate, they just won't get along. And let's see how he responds to it, then we'll come back and wrap up this topic.
Where do you think you're going? Nobody's leaving. Nobody's walking out on this fun, old-fashioned family Christmas. No, we're all in this together. This is a full-blown, 4-alarm holiday emergency here. We're going to press on, and we're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny Kaye. And when Santa squeezes down that chimney tonight, he's going to find the jolliest bunch of this side of the nut house. Hey, any of you are looking for any last-minute gift ideas for me, I have one. I like Frank Shirley, my boss, right here tonight. I want him brought from his happy holiday slumber over there on Melody Lane with all the other rich people, and I want him brought right here with a big ribbon on his head. And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, hopeless, heartless, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkeys he is. Hallelujah! Where's the Tylenol?
Yeah, never heard of a sack of monkeys. We just did.
Where's the Tylenol?
Where's the Tylenol? But, you know, his intentions were good. His execution was horrible. And as a result, it ruined everybody's time. And I can resemble that so many times of really wanting to do the right thing and the good thing and what I thought was where I should be doing. But I'm trying to do it within my own power. Right? And it just doesn't really work out. And if I'm really unlucky, it does work out sometimes, because then I think I can make it work out the next time and the next time and the next time. Right? And so the question I want us to leave with is just want to ask you guys, when you've let it down and you've given the control over to God, what has been the net result in your life? What have you felt? What have you taken on? Danny, I want to start with you since you're on the phone.
Yeah, with this journey, right before we went to the first surgery, we were at a prayer group, and I saw a vision of God had me in the palms of his hand. He had his hand cupped over me. And I may have shared this on the air, and he said, I've got this and I've got you, but don't look through my fingers. And I had to realize that, you know what, this was going to be beyond my control, but I tried to manage it. And, as I shared earlier, but, God is in control. He is absolutely, positively in control. And, so illusions are shattered. I don't mean I won't try to control something tomorrow, maybe even late this evening, who knows? But.
Yeah. Robbie?
I was just thinking, a particular instance where, the computer mouse became just fully operational. And my stapler, man, it just...
That's a boot camp reference reflecting me. I get it. They both didn't make it out alive, either one of them, actually.
When I thought of the Clark Griswold rant, I couldn't help but remember a certain, computer mouse that, took a beating.
It did.
But it kept on,
My buddy Harold brought me a metal stapler that I cannot break. And so I've not even tried. It's too intimidating.
But I think we all have those monuments in our life, right? Of things that just got us to the point we did something totally ridiculous. Whether that was put your hand through the headlight. I heard this story this week. Got so jealous he put his hand. I think it was Raymond's dad.
Okay.
Got so jealous over some guy that was dating Mrs.
Yeah, Raymond's mom.
Raymond's mom. But I put my hand through a few walls.
Yeah.
Doors. Just out of complete anger, I became a kickboxer, not unlike somebody sitting next to me.
Yeah. and obviously a biter. That's in this category too.
But it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. But my favorite one of them all, is when I was reading the Book of Job, and all of a sudden, God asked me, oh, Robbie, since you've got it all under control, why don't you make it snow? Or make the tide come in just one time. And when I let go of that control, he saved me.
Yeah, I guess my answer would be when I really just understand, God, I just got to give you control, there's a sense of peace that comes over me. Not that everything's worked out, not that I know what the outcome's going to be, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. God knows what the outcome's going to be.
You're not responsible for the outcome.
I don't know.
There's a lot of peace there.
It is, and there's this peace that happens on the backside of it. It doesn't change my situation, but changes me in the midst of my situation. And that means everything. Go to masculinejourney.org to register for the upcoming boot camp, November 20th through 23rd. We'll talk with you next week. Love each other well, and we'll talk to you soon.
You can still talk to Danny if you want.
Yeah. Danny.
Yay.
Hey, man, thanks for joining us. It was great to have you here.
Oh, absolutely.
Very powerful.
You gonna go to bed
Well, I
now?
will, well, probably won't be long. I'm just kind of feeling the day at this point, so.
I'm sure.
So I hope I'll see you guys next week. Next week's it's gonna be a bye week for football fans.
Yeah, I know that statement, yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Good. We'd love to see you.
Well, keep us posted on how you're doing.
Okay.
All right, love you, bud.
All right, love you guys. All right, bye.
Bye.